The wedding had ended hours ago, yet the echoes of laughter and music still lingered in the air. Outside, the night sky was painted in deep shades of blue and silver. Inside, the apartment glowed softly. Candles flickered near the window, and a faint scent of jasmine drifted through the room. Aiko and Daniel stood quietly near the doorway, both slightly nervous. Though from two different cultures, she was Japanese, he was American, their love had found a rhythm of its own, simple yet profound. Tonight wasn't just the celebration of marriage. It was a quiet beginning of a shared life. Aiko took a slow breath, smoothing the folds of her silk kimono. Daniel noticed her hands trembling ever so slightly. "You okay?" he asked gently, stepping closer. She smiled softly. "I think so. It feels like a dream." Daniel chuckled, the kind that came from deep inside. "If it's a dream, I hope we never wake up." The room was dimly lit. Paper lanterns hung low, spreading a warm golden hue. The tatami mats under their feet felt cool, grounding them in the moment. They had planned the decor together, a blend of her Japanese roots and his Western simplicity. On the table, two teacups waited, one painted with cherry blossoms, the other plain white porcelain. Two worlds, quietly balanced. Aiko sat by the low table, pouring green tea for both of them. Daniel watched her hands move gracefully. Even in small actions, she carried an elegance that fascinated him. They sat facing each other, steam rising gently from their cups. "So," Daniel began, "what was your favorite part of today?" Aiko smiled. "When you tried to bow to my grandmother and almost fell." He laughed. "Hey, I was trying to be respectful." "I know," she teased. She loved it. She said you bow like a samurai from an old drama. Their laughter echoed softly through the room. Then came silence, not the uncomfortable kind, but the kind filled with unspoken emotions. Daniel's voice grew quieter. "You know, I've dreamed of this night, but not because of the wedding night everyone talks about. I just wanted to be next to you in peace. To start our life the way we always imagined, simple and honest." Aiko's eyes glistened. "That's exactly how I feel." She reached across the table and took his hand. Her touch was warm, reassuring. "When I was little, I thought love had to be perfect, full of grand gestures and fireworks. But now I see it's in the quiet moments. Like this." The clock ticked softly as rain began to patter against the window. Aiko got up and pulled the curtain aside. "It's raining," she said. "They say rain on your wedding night means blessings." Daniel joined her by the window. "Then we're the luckiest couple alive." They stood together, watching droplets slide down the glass. The reflection of the candlelight flickered in their eyes. He turned to her. "Can I tell you something?" She nodded. "When I moved to Tokyo, I didn't expect to fall in love. I came here for work, not for this." He smiled faintly. "But then I met you. You were sitting under that cherry blossom tree with your sketchbook, and I remember thinking, I don't even know her, but I want to spend my life protecting that smile." Aiko blushed, her heart beating faster. "You still remember that day?" "I remember every second." She laughed softly. "That's so like you, Daniel. You notice everything, and you notice the small things I miss," he said. "That's how we fit." They stayed by the window for a while, leaning against each other, listening to the sound of rain mixing with the faint hum of the city. After some time, Daniel opened a small wooden box from his bag. "I was saving this for tonight." Inside was a folded paper, an origami crane made from the same paper they used for their wedding invitations. On its wings, written in small, neat handwriting, was a message. For every night we face together, may our hearts always find peace. Aiko gasped softly. You made this? I tried, he admitted, laughing. Watched a few YouTube tutorials. Took me 7 tries. She held it gently. It's beautiful. You know, in Japan, cranes are a symbol of love that lasts forever. He smiled. That's why I made it for us. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. You always surprise me. You understand my world better than I do sometimes. Maybe because your world became mine too, Daniel said. They sat close again. Daniel brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch light and respectful. I know we've already said our vows in front of everyone, he whispered. But I wanted to say something just to you. Aiko turned to him, curious. He took her hands in his. I promise to be your calm when life feels too loud. I promise to listen, even when words are hard. And I promise to never forget how lucky I am to call you mine. Tears welled up in her eyes. Then I'll promise something too, she said softly. I promise to remind you of your strength when you doubt yourself. I promise to share laughter on your best days and warmth on your worst. And I'll love you quietly, endlessly, in ways words can't describe. Their hands stayed clasped, their hearts steady, as if time itself paused to honor their promises. Later that night, they dimmed the lights and sat on the small balcony, wrapped in a blanket together. The rain had stopped, and the air was cool and fresh. The city below sparkled like a sea of stars. Daniel pulled Aiko closer, resting his chin lightly on her shoulder. You know what I realized tonight? He murmured. What? That love doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. Aiko smiled. And we're real. He nodded. Completely. The world outside was vast and uncertain, but within that small apartment, there was peace, the kind that comes when two people truly see each other, not as perfect, but as partners. As dawn began to rise, soft light crept into the room. Aiko stirred awake to find Daniel already watching her with a sleepy smile. Morning, he whispered. Morning, she replied, voice still soft. Did we really sleep only 3 hours? Worth it, he said. Best 3 hours of my life. She laughed and rolled her eyes. You're impossible. He leaned forward and kissed her forehead gently. And you're home. Outside, Tokyo was waking up. Trains humming, birds calling, people starting their day. But inside, their world remained still, wrapped in warmth and promise. Aiko turned toward him. Daniel? Yeah? Thank you for making last night feel like forever. He smiled. It wasn't just last night, Aiko. It's the first of many. As the day began, they brewed coffee together. She poured hers into a small cup with a cherry blossom design, while he grabbed his plain white mug. They laughed at how symbolic it was. Still two worlds, still perfectly balanced. Looking out over the city, Aiko thought, this is love. Not in grand gestures or dramatic scenes, but in the quiet rhythm of shared moments. Laughter over breakfast, a promise in silence, a touch that says I'm here. Their first night together hadn't been about perfection. It was about truth. Two souls learning to breathe in the same rhythm, to find beauty in stillness, and to love with patience and grace. Daniel wrapped his arm around her waist. Aiko whispered, let's make every night feel like our first one. He smiled, his voice soft. Deal. And as they stood there, the morning light kissed their faces. Two hearts bound by love, respect, and the quiet power of togetherness.